Hey guys, Nikhil here from Home Banao. In this episode of the Home Banao podcast, we have Altaf from Snaptrude. He's the founder and CEO of Snaptrude. Now, for those of you who don't know, one of the hardest things which happens in home construction and home interiors is just simply designing it in 3D. Typically, converting it from a simple layout or a floor plan to actual workable 3D drawings, which you can visualize and decide if you want to go ahead with that sort of architecture or that sort of interior. Snaptrude as a company has been working on this problem, and I'm sure Altaf will be able to introduce or explain his product better. But handing it off to Altaf. Hey Altaf, was that the right introduction of
Hey,
Snaptrude?
hi, Nikhil. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the platform. And yeah, you did aptly said that we are trying to revolutionize the 3D modeling pipeline for architecture and the design industry, which has been one of the most difficult tasks. And even getting data out of the 3D design is a huge pain.
Okay, nice. So very quickly, Altaf, I mean, can you tell me a bit about yourself? Because while going through your LinkedIn profile, I was very surprised to hear that you had cleared the IIT, you had even been offered an internship with Apple. But unlike most engineers where that would be a golden opportunity, you decided to decline both of them and you decided to pursue your passions, your projects and stuff like that. So can you tell us a bit about yourself, how you happen to get that IIT, clear IIT, get that internship from Apple and still decide to reject it?
Yeah, so it's been a pretty interesting story that I've had. I was very passionate about whatever I was up to during my early stages. Like my early days during my 11th and 12th, I was more inclined towards math, and I wanted to apply it as much as I can. And because of it, I was able to clear JEE as well. I just applied myself a little bit more. And unfortunately, I wanted to, of course, go to an IIT, but my mother fell ill, and I had to stay with her in my hometown, which is Hubli. That's where I come from. And of course, engineering was a deciding thing that I wanted to do. And I joined engineering in PVB College, now known as Kelly Technological University. And that's where actually I got exposed to computer vision, computer graphics, and machine learning as well, which is very early stages of machine learning at that time. So this is where we got an offer to work on a project which was by the DST, Department of Science and Technology India, where they wanted to recreate a cultural heritage site like Hampi from ground up in 3D. And because of that, I was able to get a team together, focus on that problem from a first principles perspective, and we were able to set up a automated pipeline of how you can go from a site which is like in real, which is a temple like Vithala temple in Hampi, to a digital version of it in 3D where you can actually walk through it in an automated fashion using just pictures and 3D pictures taken from very low resolution cameras like Kinect camera. So I was able to contribute a lot in terms of original research done in 3D data acquisition, processing of that 3D data, and organizing it in a way that it could be represented in a much more methodical way in a 3D environment. Ended up publishing 10 international papers during that time across conferences like SIGGRAPH, SIGGRAPH Asia, ACCV, and that's how my path was set. I was all set to pursue a career in academics, wanted to do a PhD because research was something which was growing as and how the time was passing by. However, when I was doing this project, I noticed a few things because even architects were involved in this project. And my initial interactions with them led me to believe that AutoCAD, SketchUp, and all the other tools which are built into the system are require a different kind of professional expertise to use them. The skill set required, people have to put in that effort to learn them. And people who don't have those skill set or don't have the time to put those skill set, there should be a way for them to get to 3D in an easier environment. And I looked at the vertical of home industry. Like how if you and I have to move into a house, we want to consider buying an apartment, can we actually quickly visualize something in 3D? Because understanding floor plans for consumers is very hard. Architects are really good at it because
That's their
they
work.
understand perspectives. 3D for users like us, homeowners, would be definitely a great thing. And why can't we enable them to do it? And this idea, small idea, led me to start experimenting as an undergrad student. While as you might have known that I got into a few PhD opportunities I got because that was my passion and I wanted to pursue it. And I had to choose between doing this or getting into an academic line. And the entrepreneur in me got the better of, and I thought maybe let me just give it a try. Maybe it's worth doing to see how it
Okay.
passes. And that's how it's all started.
Wow. So basically, your initial exposure was trying to visualize the beautiful Hampi. And for those who don't know, I mean, Hampi is a very beautiful a city in the past, which was a powerful kingdom and a national heritage site. So, like, how far did that project go? I mean, if I may ask, like, did you actually visualize the whole thing? Can someone see it right now?
Yes, actually, yeah, actually, we concluded that project and we have also published a book. I'm one of the co-authors of a book chapter of that book. We have
Mm-hmm.
documented the entire process of how we did it. And the 3D models which we created, they're of course digitally visible as well. You can access them. And
Mm-hmm.
the 3D printed models of them are available in the Science Express with the train which goes across the country. So the Humpy model is directly done from our process. Now the
Oh wow!
government is actually considering taking the pipeline which we built to
Mm.
replicate across different heritage sites in India.
Oh
Uh,
wow!
they're considering different. They're running the proposals for them, but I don't know how or when the timelines look like for that.
So you did manage to pull it off, unlike most government projects.
Yes, yes. So we've been able to do it, and it was a collaborative effort.
Mm-hmm.
IIT Delhi was part of it. So were a lot of other universities. Triple IT Hyderabad, IIT Kharagpur. So it was a joint effort from the entire nation, the best people in the entire nation to get this thing up and running.
Okay, nice, great, good to know. And so let's move on. So I had read, I don't remember which article, but you also got an internship from Apple. Now I am a huge Apple fanboy, as you can tell.
Uh-huh.
But I would like to understand. I mean, how did that come out to be, and what made you reject that particular offer?
So actually, what happened is I had published a lot of papers, and SIGGRAPH is the one of the most prominent conferences in computer graphics. My
Hmm.
area of research, and I had visited the conference to present the paper. Uh, there were a lot of companies over there because they come to like try to get talent who are publishing papers over there. And there were a lot of companies, and I did interact with a lot of companies, including S3, which is into GIS, and as well as Apple. And I was offered opportunity to be able to come and maybe intern with them. And I said I will definitely look into it. And then when I came back, I had received an official email and all, whether considering me to be able to come and do an internship and definitely apply. And I was in my final semester, and I was either keen on doing a PhD or getting into the project work which I was doing. And I thought maybe if I put in this small 3-4 month period which I have into the hobby project which was revolving on my head, maybe I could get something out. And I feel that was the right decision which I took. So I feel that was the right decision because the time during that time to build out the initial thought process of what Snaptrude would be, even though right now it is way different than what Snaptrude is. It was really important that I was able to understand the fundamentals very well in those few months which was there. So it was the right decision of looking at this rather than doing that internship.
So, if I may ask you now that, okay, your first exposure to this particular problem was, having interacted with some architects, and of course, further when you started actually, I guess, working on the project, you got a clear idea of 3D visualization and stuff like that. I want to
Correct.
understand this. If you had to explain to a layman, what does Snaptrude actually do?
Right. Yeah. So to explain it to a layman, what Snaptrude does is far more easier for us because compared to any other 3D tool which is there in the market, it becomes complicated. So what Snaptrude does is it takes your sketch which you draw on a piece of paper, you take a photograph of it on your phone or whatever device, it will generate a 3D model out of it automatically. And not just any 3D model, you can generate your bill of quantities, you can generate your and understand your built up area, carpet area, how the 3D model has been able to generate in literally real time.
Okay, nice. And when you say real time, you're talking about that. Look, so the reason I'm asking this is I have some experience having worked with these softwares. They suck time and RAM, and heat up your machine like crazy. It never works properly. So is it really, really real time, or is just a selling feature?
No. It indeed is real time. And the reason why it is possible for us to do it is we are able to understand that sketch, what you have drawn, and able to create a 3D model. Plus, we are on the cloud. So the advantage which it brings is we are able to take the most RAM consuming or memory consuming or CPU intensive processes to take it on our servers, not on the client's machine, which makes it much more scalable for the user so that we can take the pain.
Okay. And when you say, what detail should the plan be? I mean, just simple hand sketches will do, or
Yeah,
like,
simple plan sketches, single line, double line, doesn't matter. Even on a napkin, you can just take a picture and upload it.
and how do you get the dimensional accuracy in that then?
So the way it happens is you would need to set one dimension of the drawing. With that one dimension, it will take the proportion. Plus, it's not just direct, just sketch to 3D conversion. What we do is something known as sketch optimization. So an architect, when he first intends to do something on a piece of paper, he is still developing that thought. And with Snaptrude, that thought can be enhanced in a very easier manner once it comes into the tool. So the 3D model or the 2D drawing which is generated out of that sketch, it snaps almost every angle, creates the right dimensions, which can actually make sense during that time. I would actually love to run a demo to show how Snaptrude actually does this in its entirety.
Oh
If
yeah,
I may,
sure. Please. I would love to. I would love our viewers to see this because, I mean, even I am. I'm being very honest. Even I am surprised that you're telling it will happen in real time. So let's see.
sure. So I will just take a sketch and upload it into the tool. This is how the interface looks like.
Okay.
And as I said, it's a cloud tool, so you can use it out of a web browser. You don't need to install anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can use it on Chrome. And once I upload it, I will just set the scale as I was saying,
Mm-hmm.
because an image doesn't have a sense of scale. And Snaptrude is not just ideal for home, it's also ideal for master planning, site feasibility analysis, even school project, hospital projects, etc., which are
Okay.
needed. So once I've set the scale of the drawing, the next thing is just start generating the drawing out of it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
But this is
it's
just in
as
2D.
simple. It's already 3D. Just show the 3D view. It's already 3D. I
Oh
can go
wow.
back to the I can go back to the 2D view at any given point of time. And it's a lot more
Okay.
intelligent as well. So I'll just show it to you. If you want, you can actually edit out the drawings in 2D as well as in 3D. Everything snaps similar to any of the existing 2D tools or 3D tools.
And
Just a
basically, you
second.
can just quickly adjust the dimension.
Yes, yes, you can do that.
Wow.
And
And yeah, continue. Sorry.
on top of that, it's actually intelligent as well. I'll just go back and do a few more edits over here. If I go back to 3D, I'll show you, I can start labeling things. So maybe this is my living room, and I'll just call this as a balcony. So the moment I said it is a balcony, it took that intelligent decision of making it to 1 meter high. I can call this as my bedroom. Maybe this is my dining space. I'll call this as a kitchen. If you want to generate a floor plan or a BIM model, what is there in the industry, you just have to
Mhm.
do this one click, and you'll be able to generate a double-line floor plan out of it. Let me just hide the image underneath it to show you how it looks like. So full double-line drawing is generated in the floor plan, and in 3D, it's a 3D model with a master slab which is parametric. You can adjust the overhangs and everything however you would want it. And internally, all the walls and the floor, everything is generated. So
This is incredibly fast. My God. I mean, so viewers, for those who don't know, if you've seen architects and interior designers work, just coming from a sketch to something like this would take few 4 5 hours if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alda.
yes, 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 it would.
It's absolutely,
Just a,
absolutely crazy. And how far can you design and take it forward from here?
yes, yes. I'll show it. I just inadvertently press the back button in the mouse.
Oh, okay, no problem.
I'll just resume the
So
drawing.
just quickly trying to understand. So this particular tool you have designed keeping whom
So
in mind? Yeah.
the primary audience whom we look at is, of course, architects and interior designers. Those are our main audience that we have tried to make their life as easy as possible. Few more features I'll tell you in terms of the automation which is there. So along with this 3D model, a floor plan also gets generated, which is extremely essential for an architect. With tools like Auto Interiors, since I was able to label what my living room is, bedroom is, kitchen is, you'll see it gets interior designed as well, which is ready for presentations. And it'll tell you if the space is appropriate while you're designing. Is your bedroom big enough to have a kid's bed or not? Is there enough space to walk? Here, the living room is so crammed up, you cannot actually walk. So you get to know that the living room has to be bigger. Something else has to be compromised in this side. So these kind of decisions can happen because of these quick automations which are possible in Snaptrude. Plus, while I'm doing it, it also gives you a sense of bill of quantities. What's the amount of brick which is going into the walls, the plaster, the paint, the waterproofing which you would need for the roof, the furniture components, and various other things are documented which you can
This
get
is
out.
in this is incredible level of automation. I mean, you're talking about essentially, you know, hours and hours and hours of work.
Yes, yes, exactly. And architects should not be doing that hours and hours and hours of work. It should
True.
be this way naturally, is what I feel. I don't know why it was never this way. And
Yeah,
maybe
makes sense. I mean, architects are supposed to be the creative ones, not sitting and making BOQs.
exactly, exactly. And your areas also get generated over here on the right side, as I'm showing
Mhm.
it to you. It'll tell you what the built-up area and the carpet area is and how the distribution looks like how much living room, kitchen. So if you're say not doing a small residential project, which I did over here, you can do a huge site plan, say of like 50-acre site with some 6 7 towers, and you want to know in every tower how much area a 3 BHK is taking or 2 BHK is taking. You'll be able to get at one click all these documented information while even you're
Wow,
doing a project as large as that.
that's absolutely incredible. And you're talking about a combination of softwares like AutoCAD, Autodesk's BIM 360, SketchUp,
And even Excel
ArchiCAD,
for that. Yeah.
and even Excel. That's crazy. And up to what level of complexity do you have? I mean, do you have any project which you have done completely on this? If you can show us, extremely complex
Yes.
project which you have just leveraged, done using Snaptrude.
Yes. Yes. I can show you a few screenshot of the public projects which we have done. We cannot share the one done by
Of
our
course,
users.
of course,
I'll
just the public ones.
show. Okay. Yes. So this is one of the site plan which we enabled somebody to do. One of our public projects which people are able to do.
Have you opened it? I can't see it on the screen.
Just a second. So
Oh
this is one
wow!
of the buildings which was done. I'll show you a few more images. Just a second. So
No,
this is
sir.
another large.
I want to understand one more thing. So a lot of things which you're showing me, do they intelligently check for say stuff like bylaws or stuff? I mean, or physics and stuff like that? Like, are these actually executable plans?
Yes, so we do not actually go into the physics or the bylaws nitty-gritties. The reason being, since we are a global product, we don't want to be keeping tabs on every bylaw and the changes in bylaws across all the geographies. However, we will give you enough data so the last mile decision making can be done by the architect, because the architects understand the bylaws way better than any other person, and that's why they deserve what they earn in the market. And we will be able to give them as much data as possible so that they can take these decisions faster. That's how we deal.
And and if I may ask you, is there any completed building which was done leveraging just Snaptrude?
It's a little too early for us to be able to get that thing. We have seen a lot of people doing projects, but we don't really see those things because they're all confidential in nature. Once they get of course we will they'll reach out to us and probably we can ask case studies out of it.
Absolutely. This is incredible. I mean, this is a very, very quick. I did not think it would be that fast. And you're talking about complete automation of a lot of, simple tasks which people have to spend their time on. But yeah, this is absolutely incredible.
Correct. This is a
So, for
fairly large scale model of a
Mhm.
school project which was done on Snapchat.
And multiple floors and all that.
Yes, it has, I guess, 3 floors spread across.
Superb, absolutely superb. And of course, from this you generated the AutoCAD drawings and the bill of materials and everything.
Yes, definitely, along with the schedule of everything. Yeah. All the
So,
details are needed.
so this is Snaptrude, and I mean, I must say it's a very interesting software. Uh,
Thank you so much.
so moving on to my next question. So if I had to ask you, right, you've just shown us the product and you've explained what was the thought process behind actually going about building it. According to you, what were some of the product innovations which you were able to bring in which did not exist before? Especially because this particular space is occupied by some juggernauts like Google SketchUp, and I think Google no longer owns SketchUp. I think it's Trimble right now.
Trimble who owns SketchUp. Yeah,
But
correct.
still, Trimble is a fairly big company. You're talking about Autodesk. This is a juggernaut. You're talking about Rhino. It's very old, big companies. So, what was some of these innovations which these companies didn't do, which you focused on and which you were able to deliver?
Yeah, so the main thing which we concentrate, so you would have to appreciate all the tools which are there in the market, including AutoCAD, SketchUp, because they were built in an era where digitization wasn't there. Like 3D modeling was a new thing when SketchUp came in. Drafting was not a thing when AutoCAD came in. But the thing is, why do we still use those age-old technologies? That has been the biggest problem with the industry. So for a new generation, a new set of tools are needed if you have to become much more efficient and productive. And Snaptrude focused just on that while building these key innovations. The main innovation is the sketch to 3D part. Out of a sketch, which is a very natural way of designing and thinking for architects across the world. It's not just an Indian thing. Across the world, architects want to still sketch, and getting to a 3D model from there has been biggest innovation that we've been able to offer to the industry. So the sketching not only has to happen on a piece of paper, we allow even sketching to happen digitally. If you're saying using an iPad with an Apple Pencil, you can still digitally sketch Snaptrude because it works seamlessly even on an iPad. So this has been able to bring in that natural thinking ability into a software. Plus, there are other innovations like generating the interiors automatically, which you just saw using auto interiors, generating the floor plans as and how the building progresses at every level, getting the bill of quantities out of the model, even though how complex it is does not really matter, getting the areas which are extremely important for the local bylaws, understanding how the area distribution is, generating it out of the design. These are some of the key differentiators and innovations that makes us stand apart from all the existing tools in the market.
Perfect. And you just mentioned iPad. I'm guessing your Snaptrude works on iPad and iPhone and normal Android phones and all that.
Yes, we do not actually enable it to be working on a mobile phone. The reason being it's too small a screen to design. You won't be able to do anything except for viewing. So we actually promote it being used a lot on iPad as well as on typical devices. Since it's a cloud-based tool, doesn't matter which kind of a device you own, you'll be able to use it seamlessly. Maybe a Mac, maybe a Windows computer.
Wonderful. So really interesting to hear. And you guys have been cloud first from day one. I mean, SketchUp is slowly releasing its cloud product, although it's
Yes.
very shitty to use. I don't know if you have seen it, but I have not been happy with it, and I don't know if you can comment on that. But yeah, I am not happy with the SketchUp experience and Chrome browser. I mean, they've not done a great job. I'm guessing because you guys designed it being cloud first itself,
Yeah.
it's been quite very easy to use in any Chrome browser or any browser for that matter.
Correct. So actually, the main reason why we were able to do a better job is because, of course, cloud thinking from day one. We built it for a web interface so that it becomes adaptable on any device. It's not that SketchUp has not tried. The reason is it's really hard to build a 3D tool, whatever platform be it a desktop, be it a web browser, and doing it across multiple platform is a huge pain. It was a huge advantage for us to be building it on the web directly as a cloud tool, and we took really important decision, even though it took us slightly bit of time to be able to do that. But all the effort and the time which went in taking those decisions and doing it methodically and properly have been a huge benefit for us as well as our users now who are able to take the benefits.
So if I may ask, I mean, how many users are currently using Snaptrude? Is there a
Yes.
number you're willing to share?
Yes, definitely. So we have got over 1,000 people who have signed up. We have got over 300 people actively using the platform across geographies, including Europe, US, India, Canada. So we see a lot of traffic, especially from Europe right now. And during this time where we are facing this pandemic, COVID-19 situation is getting worse across the world. uh, Architects have been working from home, and it's something which is not natural to them because all these desktop tools working out of home, shifting it, there is a lot of infrastructure problems, and that's where we are promoting Snaptrude being a cloud tool. And they're also able to see why cloud is the future of the entire design industry. And it's a good opportunity for the entire industry to realize that moving forward in technology is something which has to be done today now, and it's not something that has to be postponed to tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, I am sure that architects are used to very high-end, powerful desktop machines, and having to design on laptops would have killed their creativity. So, a tool like yours is definitely a no-brainer for someone like them. So let's
Exactly.
move on. So now I want to speak specifically about your experience working with architects and interior designers. You mentioned a lot that something which naturally comes to architects is being able to sketch floor plans. So I want to understand this because they invest a lot of time in working in learning AutoCAD and learning SketchUp and learning softwares like ArchiCAD and all that, how easy or hard has it been for you to, tell them that, hey, we have a way of automating all of that? I mean, I'm not telling that your product may or may not do it. I'm telling that it is basically bringing, their insecurities right on their face.
Right.
That, my job will be automated away. So I'm trying to understand, how's your experience been trying to tell them that, hey, using a tool like this just boosts your creativity instead of you thinking of it as a replacement. You can think of it as, doing something more creative. So I'm
Correct.
trying to understand from that perspective, how has your engagement been? How have you been able to convince architects, and what has been that experience of working with architects and interior designers?
Correct. So whenever we go and present our tool to any architect, so they always have looked at it that automation is beneficial to them, because it has been naturally the case that they've seen that all this non-productive work which goes in drafting or modeling, they're not able to get the best out of what they wanted it to be. And when they see something like this, they feel that it won't replace them, it will actually benefit them. And if you look at the numbers across a country like India, the number of architectural students which are coming out into the market versus the number of jobs. So there is a huge dearth in terms of the supply which is there, in terms of, even though we have so many students, the number of jobs and architects which are needed in this country is a huge number. We are not even able to supply 10% of what is needed. So in that sense, if you are not able to produce more architects, the only solution is you should be able to automate your tasks so that the same number of people can take the load and build that necessary infrastructure which is
Absolutely.
needed to deliver on these solutions. And that's how we are seeing people are adapting it as well. But you're right. People are used to using tools for decades, like AutoCAD, SketchUp, or whatever other tool is there in the market. Behavior change is something which is not natural for any industry, for any user. People don't like behavior change. Uh, and we realize it from day one, like how we realize cloud first approach, we realize behavior change is going to be a thing. So when we were building the product, we bifurcated our features into, are these leading to behavior change or are these not leading to behavior change? So anything which was not leading to a behavior change, we made it work exactly similar to how they're used to be working. So
Ah,
they don't have to learn those things. And
okay.
only thing where there is behavior change, we have made a note of it. And that's what we train people in 15 minutes or half an hour whenever we get on a demo. So people are able to just adapt these things and work naturally for all the rest of the things, the way their muscle memory has developed over a period of time.
Interesting. Okay. Now, now I want to understand this. Adding on to the previous question, and depending, I mean, given your answer, a lot of things which you try to do were in a manual way available in a lot of these existing softwares. So I
Correct.
would like to understand, what you think is the reason why these existing softwares didn't try to implement automation the way you have.
Right. So if you look at any of these existing tools, BIM came in the early 2000s and became a thing by mid 2000s. The reason why BIM was not available in CAD was because architecturally, like fundamentally, the two tools are made in very different ways. So you cannot actually have a patchy solution on top of any of the existing tools. So if you have to think automation from the fundamentals, you would have to redesign these applications. And that is something which is not possible to be done in especially large tools like the BIM tools which are there in the market, including Revit, ArchiCAD. But a level of automation people have attempted to add using Dynamo, which is a visual programming interface. But again, architects are not programmers. Like they don't think like logically writing programs is not something which they are meant for, and that's not their job. And Maybe a few small subset of users will do that, but the majority of architects would need something which is uh, fundamentally understands how they think, and to be able to do that job for them in the form of a digital tool. Honestly saying, AutoCAD or any of these existing tools, they're not meant for architects. AutoCAD was a general purpose tool where architects found it would be useful to them and they started adapting it. And it has always been that case even till today. Revit was again started for the architectural industry, but with concepts from the manufacturing industry of parametric design applied to real estate, which took, but again, it became so complex over a period of time. It's very counterintuitive to the way an architect thinks.
Oh
And
yeah. Revit is
yeah,
I mean, if any of our viewers have had hands-on on Revit, I salute you because that software is something which is too complex.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah.
So just with the advantage of BIM, you've made the software so complex. People don't want BIM, even though it's so much advantages. So Snaptrude, what it does is it makes it natural for an architect to design. The thing which they understand is sketching. The thing which they understand is how the space interacts with each other. And the numbers and all those things we can generate manually. You don't have to put in hours worth of effort in just setting up the right format in which you want those numbers in. And that has been a kind of the major driver of why architects and the industry is looking at Snaptrude as a huge time saver and an advantage over these existing tools, because for these tools to change, they have to change them fundamentally, which is just not possible. They would have to build a new tool, which again is, it takes its own course of time because 3D is extremely hard to build, whatever platform it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, not many companies are even have the ability to approach it. I mean, if you would think that, yeah, I mean, it's 3D, especially something which is related to building designs and all that. It's the product is extremely hard to build. It's not as simple as a graphic design software, which a lot
Exactly.
of companies have attempted. uh,
Exactly. Exactly.
so so adding on to my again continuing this conversation related to architects and interior designers. So the reason I'm so curious is my wife is an architect.
Awesome. Yeah.
And one of the things which she was mentioning was, so what about stuff like, handling curved walls and all those parametric shapes? I mean, is the software able to handle them as well?
Yes. So currently we don't have it live in the version which is there out in the market, but we are dealing with curves the way fluidic designs are implemented, organic shapes are implemented, which a tool like Rhino has been able to do
Very
extremely
well.
well.
Yeah.
Whereas SketchUp, on the other hand, doesn't
It
have a
doesn't.
curves module as such. It just tries to fake curves, and it's been able to do a makeshift job, whereas Rhino has been able to do it extremely well. So Snaptrude is going to work like Rhino, but with all the complexity gone away from the user interface.
So you
That's a
have a beta version which you're testing. Is that the right
Yeah,
answer?
it's in the internal testing version. We have not yet released it to people, but there are a few designs which we have made. I can actually probably share the pictures with you to see how we have been able to do.
Oh, can you just share the screen and quickly show it?
Just a second, let me try to find it.
The reason I'm asking this is parametric architecture, and architecture like that is something which is catching on a lot.
Yes, yes.
Altaf, it's fine if you don't find it. I mean,
No, I got it. I got it.
oh,
It's slightly low resolution, but let me know if
yeah,
you,
yeah. Anything will do.
let me know if you have been able to see it.
Oh wow, this was generated in Snaptrude.
Yes, yes. So this is the Sana Pavilion, the famous Sana Pavilion, which is there in Japan.
Okay,
We tried implementing whatever internal version we have on this.
this is incredible, very beautiful.
Thank you so much.
If you're able to do this, I mean, yeah, this you've already eclipsed SketchUp. If I-
Yeah, definitely. So we have been able to eclipse SketchUp for a while now.
Okay, nice.
So it's
So,
the other
I wanna ask another question. Apart from the actual modeling and all that, have you guys also thought of getting into stuff like rendering and all?
So right now, what we do is we export to all the major rendering tools which are out there, including Lumion, etc. Standard file formats. But we were considering partnering with an existing cloud rendering tool. But we haven't done anything as of now. But it's there in our pipeline. So we don't want to be building a render engine because there's so many beautiful rendering engines out there.
Absolutely.
It's
Yep.
just better to create a seamless pipeline so you were able to get the desired outputs out.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is quite interesting. And okay, my next question is also related to interiors. So, what about the furniture libraries?
Yeah, so the biggest decision which we took early on is the library which we do have is expandable by the users. We can bring in any
Oh,
file, Sketchup file, 3ds Max file, any standard format. Once you add it, it's going to be there forever.
wow,
So
that's
that's how
incredible.
we have started.
Okay, that's really nice. So I think I should connect you to one of our previous interviewee called Fans Art, Tarun,
Sure,
who has beautiful designer fans, and I'm sure he would love to integrate that library with with you
definitely,
guys.
definitely would be happy to. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely incredible. So I did not think you would have. Which and all file formats do you support? SKP, 3ds?
SKP, FBX, OBJ, 3ds.
Oh, superb. That covers basically 90% of the market. So
Exactly. So we took this approach because people already have libraries.
of course, yeah. Mhm.
How much so comprehensive library we build, it won't be enough still. So let's just do this.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand. So now tell me this. Eventually, right? What impact will a homeowner see because of architects and interior designers using Snaptrude?
I think they'll see 3D more often, and
That's true. That is true.
they're able to get to understand during the design process. They can collaborate with the architect better because again, cloud is an advantage where you can collaborate and understand the costing, the numericals associated with the project way ahead of time. So things just don't go way out of budget. They are able to understand the whole the space feels like in a much convenient and easier form and in an affordable way where architects won't have to actually spend hours and hours or maybe days in just building these presentation ready outputs for the consumer. So the homeowner is definitely going to be a huge winner out of Snaptrude being adapted by the industry.
Superb, superb. Really nice to know. Now I want to understand this. This is a common trend in the home space. Uh, a lot of smart technology is getting incorporated in the home, sliding doors, windows, security systems, some smart wardrobes, I mean stuff like that. So
Correct.
the objects part, the interior part, you've of course taken care of, but what if there are some smart elements in the house itself? Does Snapchat have the capability to showcase them, or
Right.
what? Yeah.
So we do not offer animations, which I think so are essential for demonstrating the automation part, the home automation technologies. You can actually still show them as still objects. Animation is something which we currently do not support, but that is something which we will offer in times to come.
So this leads very well into my next question. So what are some future, features or like some shockers which you are making ready in your future product pipeline for the industry?
Yes. So very immediately, the thing which is going to come is we're going to have a new visual look to the way 3D model gets rendered on the screen itself. You don't even have to render. So it's not gonna be photorealistic though, but it's gonna be way better. So you can do presentations right out of Snapchat. You don't even have to take it to a render engine for the first version. That's the immediate release which we are gonna have. Curves is parametric curves and organic shapes are the next major release which we're going to be occupying. Slightly medium term, we are trying to expand on the automation, which is auto interiors, will be expanded to even support auto layouts based on how a sketch gets transformed into a drawing now. the drawing gets transformed into other
Yeah.
plausible drawings, which the user would want to explore, and would also include it even for fenestration like doors, windows. What are the best places to position a door window? So these are some of the areas which we are venturing into.
Oh, this is incredible. And I'm guessing, I mean, you have a rich product roadmap ready.
Yes, yeah,
Great, great. Really nice to know. So now I want to understand this. How does the Snaptrude, I mean, licensing work? Like, because the cloud based, I'm guessing it's like any SaaS product.
correct. So currently we price it at about internationally $500 annually per year per user, and $50 a month. That's the equivalent plan. And in India, we are going with slightly different pricing. It's at about 20,000 rupees annually, or 2,000 rupees per month per user.
That's fairly decent. I mean, considering how much Autodesk costs.
Yes,
That's
yes, yes, exactly. We don't want to be a burden on the pocket nor on the time or the resources it takes.
quite good, quite interesting. And of course, this thing supports every system, every sort of.
Yes, yes, yes. You don't have to worry about that.
Oh, superb. What I will do is definitely connect you to Mr. Govind from Amita Furnishings. I just mentioned, who has a library of wallpapers and lots of interior products,
Yeah, that
and
would be.
and fans art for designer fans. But quite interesting to see, how you can expand your product. And I'm very surprised that the demo which you gave us, how quickly a basic building was generated. I mean, that takes hours and hours to do. So,
Yes,
really,
yes, yes,
really good to
definitely.
know.
Yeah.
Uh, so, what do you think the future holds for considering this lockdown? What do you think the future holds for the home furnishing and interior design industry and the construction space? I mean, how do you think this industry will respond?
Correct. I've been actually trying to monitor the situation as closely as possible. I feel we can't walk away from the situation that things are going to be bad for a while. We are seeing real estate was impacted in the top five industries. There was no construction which was happening because of the lockdown. But I'm still very optimistic that once we are able to come out of this situation, not just a lockdown, I mean the entire COVID-19, if we are able to recover out of it, uh, I see government is going to spend a lot on infrastructure to be able to boost the economy. The GDP numbers, anyways, are going into the negative across the world. Maybe India might not see that happening, but still, we need to have a very good stimulus to make sure that the infrastructure projects keep happening. Unemployment does not go as badly as one is predicting it to be, and that will lead also to a lot of support made available to real estate and construction in general, and a lot of the developers which we see in India might be benefited, and they can resume construction, and with that I feel that there will be a quick recovery on the cards, and real estate might uh, become optimal in maybe 2 3 years down the line. But still, we cannot walk away from the situation that in the short term we're going to face problems. There's going to be a lot of unemployment in the construction sector, construction design, interiors. But we just have to be patient during this time. Make sure our health workers and the science industry comes up with a solution soon enough that we can follow it up with a quick
Back to
recovery.
work.
Yeah.
Exactly. Agreed. Great. I mean, really, really interesting product, really nice journey, and good to know that we have a deep tech product in the design space, because I rarely see Indian companies going after this. There's maybe a handful of them which are actually trying to solve this problem, and really interesting to see you've been fairly successful
Thank you
and
so much.
really interesting product. Guys, I really urge you to check out snaptrude.com, especially for interior designers and architects, because the level of automation they've been able to accomplish is absolutely incredible. Also, I mean, if you want, you can write to altaf@snaptrude.com. I'm sure he'll respond to you. But yeah, apart from
Definitely.
that, any parting words to our listeners, Altaf?
I feel design industry is at a huge transformation. So there's an inflection point, and you're going to see that technology is going to get absorbed into the entire design space, and sky would be the limits in times to come once technology and design merge themselves into this strong domain.
Great. That's really nice. And this will be an intersection of two very different things, creativity and logic. So let's see
Yeah,
what comes out of this. Thanks a lot,
definitely.
Altaf, for joining us for this Home Banao podcast. I really urge our listeners to do check out snaptrude.com, because it's a really interesting product, not something which a lot of people are attempting. Rarely do you see automation at this level. And yeah, thanks a lot, Altaf. See
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure interacting with you, Nikhil. As always, thank you.